Okay, well, hi everybody. It's September. Welcome to this awesome month. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Kristen Donahue, the founding Level 5 on Team Daring Greatly, although joined by many other now amazing Level 5s and other leaders of all levels. So excited to be with you tonight for our team training and super excited for this topic. I have been bouncing this topic around in my head for months now, just trying to come up with how to talk about this and what we want to say about it. So this is probably just going to scratch the surface, but I'm really excited to share some of what I've got for you tonight. So before I do, I want to just go through a couple quick announcements. First of all, August, there are no words for August. August was crazy. August were our biggest numbers ever. Records broken in all areas. We have all kinds of new level 2s and 3s, level 4s. We've got 2 new level 5s. We have 4 new premier level 5s. We have our very first on the entire team RFX achiever. So huge things happened in August, but what has me most excited is we're poised for an even bigger September. There's a lot of you running for our cruise incentive for leadership. I'm making the arrangements right now. I just got the contract in my email about half an hour ago. I'm so excited at booking all these spots on the cruise and thinking about all of you guys being with us. So big stuff is happening, and you guys should give yourself a pat on the back. Whatever milestone you were able to achieve in August, even if I know a few of you had frustrating months, even if your main milestone was just that you didn't pull your hair out, but for most of you, it was a milestone of record high PSQV, record high recruiting, whatever it was for you. So congratulations. It was an amazing month. I'll be posting our numbers tomorrow, but truly incredible. I want to really encourage you, whatever August was to you, to use this as a springboard to just run like crazy. You guys, the product that is coming out in October they keep saying a game changer, and I know we have a tendency to use language in Rodan and Fields that's a little over the top. But frankly, this one, I believe it. I trust it. So you just have to remember that everything you're doing now counts. Even the no's. That's why I wanted to talk about no's tonight, because even the no's you're getting count for what you're going to see happen in October. So what I mean by that, let me just tell you a story. When we came out with the macro E, I was a consultant at the time. I had talked to tons of people. I had done my job. I was doing what I was supposed to do. So we came out with the macro E, and I posted a picture on my Facebook wall that night of the macro E. I immediately had 5 people who had previously told me no. They did not want product. They didn't want business. They were not interested. 5 people bought it just like that based on my Facebook post. 5 people who had told me no in the past. So even the people you're talking to in the next 5 weeks who are not interested, you have planted a seed with them. And when this new product comes out, that seed might grow. You never know. So we need to be talking to people like crazy for the next 6 weeks. Truly, just everything you can be doing and more to talk to people, because it's going to be worth it. Every seed you're planting now, whether it's a yes, a no, a maybe, a not yet, all of those are going to come back and help you in the future. So the other thing I wanted to tell you in announcements is just to help you plug in. If you are brand spanking new, excuse me, I'm still getting over my cold. If you just joined us in August and you would like a little help getting started, we're going to start a Daring Greatly Launchpad. It's a private Facebook group that has training videos and basic posts to answer your questions and help you get started. We posted about it this morning. Jessica Shearling posted on the Daring Greatly page. Be sure to comment on that, or if you have newbies that you think would benefit from it, comment so we can stick them in that Launchpad group. And if you're an EC or higher, so you've been with us a little while now, we're going to have the next round of our level 2 class starting in just a couple weeks. So watch for that post coming later this week from Becky Strope about the next level 2 class. So with that, that's all my announcements. There's plenty more I could tell you, but that's all for now. Let's talk about no. Let's talk about no and objections and what the heck we're supposed to do when we get them. So first of all, before I'm going to share with you tonight some of my language for how to handle objections and how to handle no's. But before I tell you the word part of this, we have to deal with the mind part of it. We really have to just dig a little bit into why do we avoid no and what goes through our head when we hear it. So first of all, I just want to think about why do we avoid no? And there's a lot of reasons, but just a few of mine that I came up with are we take it personally. We feel like a no, a rejection of our business or a rejection of our product is a rejection of you. It's saying that they don't like you, that you're not good enough, that they don't want to work with you, that for some reason they don't want what you've got. And that probably that reason is you. That's what goes on in our head, is there must be something about me that makes people not want to buy this, or something about me that makes them not want to join me in business. So we very quickly take a no thank you, I don't need those products, to me. There's something wrong with me. What's wrong with me? Why is nobody buying this? So one of the first things we have to do with no is just get over that personalization. It is not you. My very first convention, I'd only been a consultant a couple months, and Sarah Robbins shared this story. And now, if you've been in this business at all, you've probably heard it a million times, but it still resonates with me. She talked about a waitress in a coffee shop, walking around in a diner, refilling people's coffee. And some people are just going to flip their coffee cup right over. They're not even going to talk to you. They're just going to say no. So does the waitress go sobbing into the back? Oh my God, you didn't want my coffee. There must be something wrong with my coffee. Maybe it's how I offered the coffee. Maybe it's the way the coffee tastes. No, she just moves on to the next table, right? Some people might try the coffee and then say, no more, I'm good. Some people want refills all day long. It's not personal. It's just coffee. So it's the same with you and what you're doing in your business. When somebody tells you no, it is not personal. It's not you. It's just that they don't need what you've got right now. Right now is one of the key words there. They don't need what you've got right now. So move on, keep going, offer somebody else coffee. Remember what I told you to start. Even the no's you're getting now are seeds that you're planting that are going to blossom at some point in the future. And hopefully it's going to blossom a lot sooner because of convention and this new product we have coming. Why else do we avoid no? Well, we do it because we value other people's opinions. For better or for worse, life is still a little bit like a mini middle school, in my opinion. Now, I, as an adult, try to avoid that stuff like the plague, and I'm guessing you guys do too, because it's not the way we want to live. But the reality is that sometimes we care what other people think, and we don't want to be walking away from an interaction and thinking, I bet they thought I was a little crazy. I bet they think my product's not good. I bet they think I'm nuts for doing this business. So if you're walking away feeling crummy about an interaction, we don't like that, and we don't go back to it. So one of the reasons we avoid no is just because we're worried that people are thinking poorly of us when they tell us no. So just remember to surround yourself with people who are going to champion you, who love you, who care about your success, who want you to be happy, who want you to have the best. And let the other people go. Who cares if they tell you no? You don't need them anyway. So be careful who you surround yourself with, because often that's what causes our no to become consuming, to become overwhelming, to become depressing. Another reason we avoid no is it just doesn't feel good, right? Even our kids, they don't like to hear no. They fight against no like crazy. So none of us really love to hear no. But I'm hoping as we talk tonight, we can change that perspective for you a little. So I want you to just remember as we dive into this, some people are just no's. They're just no's. And I'm not going to tell you tonight that I can help you change every single one of your no's into a yes, because I can't. Our product, some people don't want it. Our business, it might not be the right time for them. And to some degree, we have to respect that. We have to care about our friends and family enough to say, hey, if you tell me no, I get it. I'm going to move on. You are not going to make or break my business. And that is really freeing. To be honest, right now, two of my very best friends here in Grand Junction are neither customers or consultants with me. So maybe I'm doing it wrong, right? Because I don't even have my very best friends on my team or buying product from me. Or maybe I'm doing it right. Maybe I've planted the seed and I'm willing to respect their timeline and their decision. And I don't need them to grow my business because there are plenty of other yeses out there. So just go into this discussion we're going to have tonight with the right framework. I noticed when I asked for examples, you guys had so many good ones. What if they say this? And what if they say that? And honestly, some of them I was reading thinking, move on from that one. Let that one go. Because we can't turn everybody into a yes. So for example, Carol Sothman talked about somebody who used our product for 90 days and said it made their face break out and their face reacted. Okay, our product is probably not the right product for her. You could try to tweak that. You could see if there's a different line or a different regimen she could use, but it's okay to just say, thank you for trying it and move on with somebody like that who's already told you they've used the product, it wasn't right for them, they didn't like it. That's okay. Check her off your list, keep going. Maybe loop back and take her for coffee and see if you can get referrals. But right this minute, she's not a yes, that's okay. Or Teresa Gellermini talked about someone who has had a 3-way call, has been offered a signing bonus, and still really doesn't want to say yes to being a consultant. Probably not the right time for her. So let's just move on and let her be. So some of these in your funnel, I'm not going to be able to fix tonight just by giving you some magic words. The reality is they're probably just not ready. So that's okay. Let's skip to some of the ones that are. Now, I do want to point out why you should be relentlessly pursuing no. So we talked about why we avoid it, because really I think most of us do avoid it. In fact, I've talked to people who will have a lot of people in their funnel. They'll have a lot of people who are just a conversation or two away from making a decision. And when we really dig into it and say, so why have you not talked to that person and gotten the yes? Like, because I'm afraid that it might not be a yes, it might be a no. So often we work people to a point where then we just back off and say, well, when she's ready, she'll call me. When she's ready, she'll let me know. Because we don't want to call them and have them tell us no. So my hope tonight is that we can reframe this. A no is something you want to be working towards actively. You want your prospects to tell you no if this is not going to be right for them. You want them to tell you why they're telling you no, so that hopefully you can help them work through that. So a great book that I'm sure many of you have heard of is Go for No. I admit I avoided this book for a while because it sounded kind of cheesy. And I actually even bought it and started reading it and thought, this book's not for me. I think I'm going to read something else. And then I came back to it because so many people that I respect, Becky Chapman, Miss Kim, who's nodding her head, Caitlin Ray, some people that I think are great consultants who are doing the right things said, this book is good. And I thought, all right, I'll give it one more try. So I read it. It took me like 2 hours. It's a super fast read, but it has all kinds of great information in it. So I would encourage you, if you avoid no like the plague, grab that book and read it because it's really worthwhile. But one of the things it talked about in there that I think is just great to consider is what if you counted your no's each month instead of counted your yeses? So usually we start the month with a goal, right? How many preferred customers are you going to get this month? How many PC orders are you going to get? How many new consultants are you going to get? What's your goal this month? My guess is that all of you, if I messaged you right now, could message me back and say, well, here's what I'm shooting on. This is what I want this month. Some of you probably have it down to I want 20 PCs for my miles and I want 3 new consultants for my miles. We know based on Lead the Way what we're working towards. So most of us have a goal in our head of the number of yeses we need to get this month. What if instead you had a goal for the number of no's you needed to get this month? That can really flip the activity level in your business because it's not even just touches. I can reach out to 20, 30, 40 people this week. It's not that hard to cut and paste a message 40 times. I could probably do it in an hour and then say, check, I can go watch TV now. I did my work, right? But if I had to talk to enough people to actually get 40 no's this week, that would take a lot more interaction. Also think about this. Let's just say your goal this month is 3 new consultants. So let's say you worked hard last month and you ended the month with some people who were really close to saying yes. And you started this month out strong. September, you got 2 yeses right off the bat, and your goal is 3. So you're looking pretty good, right? So at this point, a lot of us, if we're being honest, would probably take the next few weeks off. We'd slow down because we're already 2/3 of the way to our goal. We only need 1 more yes, and we have all the consultants we wanted this month, right? Same with PCs. Let's say you need 10 orders and you already know you're going to have 8 that come through just through your auto shipments. You only need 2 yeses. 1 says yes this week. I only need 1 more. I've got plenty of time to work on that, right? But if my goal right off the bat was, I need 15 people to really look at this business and tell me no, it is not for them. Then even if those people were telling me yes, right off the bat I got 2 yeses, I still haven't got any no's yet. So that means I've got more work to do. So if you reframe what you're working on, by the end of the month, if you're chasing no's, you'll have done a lot more work and made a lot more progress than if you're only chasing yeses. The other thing that's going to help you do is focus on filling your funnel and planting seeds. As much as we want the numbers right now, and we do, we also want customers next month and the month after and the month after that. And the way we get that is by talking to people all the time. It's by getting no's now, because those turn into yeses in the next few weeks and the next few months. So with that, hopefully that gives you some good perspective on why you should be pursuing no, and how you can get your head in the right place so that when you hear no, you're not the waitress who runs into the back and starts crying because no one wants her coffee. You're tough. You move on. You find the next people to tell you no. In fact, maybe you even celebrate it. Great. My goal was 100 no's this month, and I just got number 43. Keep on moving. All right. So if that's you, you're ready. You're ready to hear more about how do we handle objections. What do we say when somebody tells us no? And it's maybe not a firm no. They give us some of the stuff that you guys shared on the post that I put up on Daring Greatly. They say stuff like, I already use Arbonne, or I just don't have the money, or I just don't have enough time. How do you talk to those people to really dig in and find out if they truly mean no, or if they just mean help me see why this could be a yes? So I'm going to share with you tonight 5 different strategies, 5 different techniques for handling objections, which with each one of these techniques, I'm going to also give you examples using some of the things that you guys brought up on the Facebook feed that I posted on Daring Greatly. I will respond to some of your objections, showing you with these different methods. Okay, so method number 1. Method number 1 is kind of a simple one, but we really overlook this method a lot. And that method is just to listen. So I know you're probably like, okay, can we move on to 2? Because that's not really rocket science, Kristen. But there's a little more I want to tell you about listening. First of all, when people are telling you they have a concern with our products or with our business, often our goal is to move past that as quickly as we can, to convince them, basically. When really what we need to be doing is digging a little further into what they're saying. So this goes really well with some stuff I learned about listening a long time ago. And that is that basically there's 4 different types of listening. There is reflective listening. So reflective listening is where you're reflecting back to the person. So your husband comes home, he says, oh my gosh, my day sucked. I hated my job. I hate work. It was horrible. And you say, oh my gosh, it sounds like you had an awful day. You're reflecting. You're basically saying what they just said back to you. It sounds like what I'm hearing you say is. That's reflective listening. The second kind of listening is empathetic listening. That's caring listening. So your husband comes home and says he has a horrible day, and you say something like, gosh, I hate it when I have a bad day. I bet you're feeling really tired and sad or depressed, or whatever it might be. You're empathizing. How would you feel if you'd had a bad day? I bet you could use a cup of hot tea right now. Why don't you go sit down and take a break, and I'll take care of things for dinner. Empathetic and caring listening. The third type of listening is probing listening. Probing is just asking questions. Tell me more. What made your day so bad? Then what did you do? And then what did he say? And we're trying to get more information. And then the final type of listening is advising. Advising listening is where we just listen to what the person's saying, and then we advise them. We tell them what they need to do. So often with Rodan and Fields, we do a lot of probing and advising. What kind of products do you use? What are your problems with your skin? What do you want to change? Okay, here's what I think you need. Probe, 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 advise. And then when they say something like, gosh, it's too expensive, or I already use something else, we don't really know where to go from there, because the two strategies we mostly use, probing and advising, are not going to help you fix that issue. So we need to work more on some of the other listening skills, a little more of the empathetic and the reflective listening, because sometimes when people are giving you a no, they're just telling you they have a concern and they want to know if you hear them, especially if you're talking about the business. For most of us, when we started this business, it was scary. We didn't know what we were doing. Honestly, I thought I was crazy. I mean, I was doing it and I thought I was crazy. So who knows what everybody else is thinking? So we're scared. We need someone to say, tell me what's scaring you. You know, what's stopping you? What's causing you to reconsider this opportunity? What's making you think that this isn't the right time? What's making you think you need to wait till January? Have you considered X, Y, and Z? Not advising, you need to get this started right away, but have you considered what might be coming? So let me tell you what this looks like, a few examples. So Caitlin Ray brought up, I already use such and such product. And I think Carol brought that one up too. So first, I would do a little more probing on that one. Tell me what you love about Arbonne. Tell me what it is about XYZ product that makes your skin feel great. Has it transformed your skin? Do you absolutely love the results you're getting with it? Talk big, excited, happy stuff if they say they use a product already. And if they come back with yes, it's transformed my skin. I love it. I would never use anything else. It's the most amazing product ever. Then say, I am so happy for you. It sounds like we could actually find some products to supplement what you're using. Because if you love what you're using, I definitely don't want to talk you out of using it. Boy, that throws people off when they realize you're not going to try to convince them onto your product. What you can do then is share with them some of our supplemental products. Our eye cream, our night serum, our lip serum, some of the things we have that might go great with the Mary Kay or Arbonne or Clinique or whatever it is that they're using now that they love so much. You could also use this for business objections. So I don't have enough time. That's a common objection we get with the business. So instead of saying, oh, it's easy, Stephanie Wallace does this and she was super busy and she did it around a 50-hour-a-week job and she still grew to Alexa's company or Alexa's team. And if she can do it, you can do it. Okay, that's pushing, right? Instead, say, well, tell me more about your time. What do your days look like? Where do you find you have a little bit of downtime? Tell me more about, and just dig. What do they do? Do they drive kids all over the place? Do they go to a lot of sports games? Do they work a 60-hour-a-week job? Once you've learned more about it, then you can advise them into the next step. Then you can say something like, you know what? I would love for you to meet my friend Stephanie, because she actually built this business around a life that sounds a lot like yours. It sounds like you're stressed and overwhelmed. She actually ended up quitting her job, her full-time corporate income job, to be more healthy, to reduce her stress, because her Rodan and Fields paycheck grew bigger than her corporate paycheck. But show them that you've heard what they're saying instead of just trying to convince them into what you're trying to move them towards. One final example of just using listening, and this was an objection that Robin gave, I'm not quite ready. So this is one for a ton of probing and not a lot of advising. Why are you not ready? What's holding you back? What's stopping you? What's scaring you about this? Have you considered, and tell them a little more about what you know. Have you considered that we have a big product launch coming? Have you considered that we've got people here to hold your hand and walk you through every step and give you tons of support and advice as you first get started? And listen to what they say. So have a conversation. So technique number 1 is a pretty simple one. It just involves listening, but it involves listening in different ways. Technique number 2. Ask their permission to address their objection. So a simple one again, but sometimes we just jump straight to it. Especially if we've been in the business a while, We know the answers, right? How many times have we heard someone say, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I just need to wait a little while? I mean, those are very common things for people to feel when they're considering this. So we want to just jump right to it. Oh, I know what to tell you. I know how we can help you find the money. But a lot of times you can get a lot further if you say something like, well, if I showed you how we could work this into your busy life and fit this around all the other things that you're doing now, would you be interested in learning more about how this could work for you? So ask them first, because sometimes just that is enough for them to say, once you've addressed their objection, you can come back and say, well, you said your primary objection or your primary concern was that you didn't have enough time. And I was able to show you how to fit this around your life. So what do you think? You ready? And a lot of times at that point, they start to see that it's not as scary as they thought, and they can actually jump in and do this. Technique number 3, and this is one you've all heard, but you got to go back to it because sometimes we don't use it enough. Feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. I've felt that way too. But what I found is. So if you don't have your own feel, felt, find somebody else's. You got to be genuine with this. You can't lie. You can't, if you are skincare junkie and you've used every product under the sun and you would spend anything you need to get great skincare, and someone says, well, I like to buy my skincare at Target because it's cheap and I don't really want to spend any money. You can't say, oh, I know how you feel, because they're like, no, you don't. You're lying to me because you just want me to buy your stuff. So don't, find someone else's I know how you feel. You could say, I know how you feel because my friend so-and-so felt that way. I know how you feel because my friend Veronica felt like that, or my friend Shannon, who first told me about this company, felt like that. So it's okay to use somebody else's, not just yours. But a feel, felt, found objection would look something like this. So if someone says this is too expensive, I always say, oh my gosh, I know exactly how you feel. Before I started with Rodan & Fields, I used oil of Olay because I could buy it at Costco because I could get it for cheap. And that was the extent of my skincare routine. But what I found is that when you find products that actually work and actually do what they say they're going to do, it's not that big a deal to pay a little bit more for them. And it really is a little bit more. If you run the numbers, our products last you 2 to 3 months. It's not nearly as expensive as you might think it is. Or if you have, I'm not a salesperson. That was an objection that several of you put up on the feed. I know how you feel. I don't think anybody wants their friends to see them as a salesperson. That feels kind of icky. So what we really try to coach and what we've found works amazingly well is to just share this. Share it with everybody you know, and the right people will say yes. If they need product, if they need new skincare, if they need a new business opportunity, they'll hear what you're saying and they'll know it's for them. But if it's not for them, that's okay. They'll move on, and so will you, and that's all right. So you don't have to be a salesperson to be good at what we do. Another one you guys brought up, I've tried direct sales and it didn't work for me. So for this one, I would use other people's stories. I would say, you know what? I know how you feel. I was actually just visiting with a friend last week. She told me she did 8 direct sales companies before Rodan & Fields. And she felt the same way. When she was first looking at this, she thought, and her husband too, said, no, you're not doing that again. But what she's found, and what I found as well, is that this is a completely different setup than most direct sales companies. And then I would go into some of the examples of why this is different. So feel, felt, found, if you just practice using that language, it can come out pretty naturally when you're ready to actually address someone's objection. All right, technique number 4. This is my favorite technique to use with objections and with no's. And I just call it objection judo. So some of you who've been with us a while have probably heard me talk about this, but this is like my answer to almost every concern. It originated with my husband. So my husband works in law enforcement. And a long time ago, he read a book and went to some training called verbal judo. The idea behind verbal judo is, if you think about martial arts, often martial arts is not about meeting force with force. It's instead about meeting force and then using what you have to take the force in the direction you want it to go. So kind of rechanneling energy instead of trying to argue or push. So if you think about in law enforcement, what they tell you in law enforcement with verbal judo is say what you want, but do what I say. So you can let people run their mouth. You can let them do what they're going to do, but eventually they need to actually comply with what the police officer is asking them to do. So think about this in our scenario. Obviously, we're not trying to get people to comply. We're not trying to force them into anything. But there's a lot of times where if we just choose not to engage, choose not to convince, we can actually see a lot of success in getting people to a yes. So here's what this looks like. What I do basically with any kind of objection judo is agree with what they're saying and then continue to move them on to the next step. So let's say you've got someone that you think would be great and you want to get them to a 3-way call. And they're saying, well, I just don't know, and I'm really busy. I would say, oh my gosh, I know you are totally one of the busiest people I know. I get that. I cannot wait for you to meet Jen because she actually grew this with 2 young kiddos at home, and she totally understands what it's like to be busy. So maybe we could chat with her tomorrow around 3. Does that work? So I'm not trying to convince her that she's not busy or that that she can still do this anyway. I'm just like, yeah, I hear you. Yep, you're busy. So let's go ahead and get on a 3-way call. You can use that objection judo with just about anything. One of the other examples you guys gave on Facebook, I want to wait and start in January. So I would say something like, January is a great time to get started. That sounds awesome. Before you do, I want you to meet Jen. So let's go ahead and set up a time for a call so that you have all the information you need. And that way, if you're ready in January, you'll have everything you need to get started. Are you free tomorrow afternoon at 2? So I didn't try to argue her out of January at all. I didn't even, if January is what you want, that's great. My hope after she talks to Jen is that January will be crazy to her and she'll be ready to get started tomorrow. But I'm not even going to have that argument right now. We're just going to get on the phone and talk to Jen. So it's a great technique to use when you're talking through getting someone onto a call, moving them to the next step, meeting you for coffee. I really don't have time to do this. Someone will tell you that. Like, can you get together for coffee? I really don't have time to take a look at this. I totally understand. I totally get that you're busy. This probably isn't right for you, but I'd love to still chat with you and pick your brain a little bit because you never know who you might know. And you still are moving towards what you ultimately want to do. So you have to be careful with this because at some point you have to go back to that first technique of listening. If they're genuinely saying, no, this is just not for me, you don't want to push somebody. You don't want them to be thinking, oh my gosh, how many ways can I tell her no? But a lot of times, remember, a no is just covering up their concern, their fear. And if you can address some of that, the no just goes away. The final technique I like to use, and I gave you a mixtured example of it just a second ago, but it's the takeaway. And I'm sure a lot of you have used this one because it works beautifully. But when you have somebody who just goes witness protection program on you, 1 minute she's super excited, she's engaged, she's talking to you, and the next minute she's not responding, and she hasn't responded for a couple of weeks now. Whether it's business or product, I love to just move on from them. So here's the key with takeaway. You're removing the opportunity from them. You're taking away the opportunity to say yes. You have to be comfortable with the fact that they may say, great. I didn't want it anyway. Thank you for taking this off my shoulders. So this doesn't always turn someone into a yes, but often it does. So what I'll do for the takeaway, if I do have someone who's just gone MIA, they're not responding to me at all, I might get back to them and say something like, I haven't heard from you in weeks, and I know you were really interested in this at one point. I don't want to bother you. So if you've decided this isn't for you, I hope you'll feel comfortable just telling me no. A lot of times when you say that, they come back with, oh, no. It's not that I'm not interested anymore. It's XYZ. And they'll tell you where they're at. Sometimes, occasionally, it doesn't happen often, but I have had a few come back and say, thank you. I just didn't know how to say it and I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but this is just not my thing. So that's okay if that's where they're at. You got to be ready if you're going to use the takeaway that they might say no, and that's okay. That's what you're trying to get to. Another one, you could use this on Teresa's prospect that she posted on our Facebook feed. She said she's got someone who did the 3-way call, has been offered a signing bonus, and still, anytime the business opportunity comes up, she just makes a joke about it. I'd say something like, you know what, it seems like every time I bring this up, you are laughing about it, you're making a joke. It seems like this might not be the right fit for you. Just take it away from her. Tell her she can't have it anymore. And then usually you'll get a better feel for where they're actually at. The final example with the takeaway, I do it all the time with my business cards. So anytime I go to a networking event, I take a stack of business cards with me. Half the business cards have microdermabrasion paste attached to them, and the other half do not. So when I meet someone, I will talk with them a little bit, and then I'll say, are you open to trying something new with your skin? If they say yes, I say, oh, great, because I've got these samples. I think you'd love to try one, and then maybe I could follow up in a few days and see what you think of it, and off we go. If they say no, I say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to give you one of these business cards. I've got some with a sample of our microdermabrasion paste, but if you're not interested in trying anything new, I definitely don't want to push you. So let me give you this card, and that way if you know anyone, you can send them my way. It is almost comical the number of people who will totally backtrack as soon as I do that, because they think I'm going to pressure them. When I say, are you open to trying something new? The first response is no, nope, because it's scary. They think you're going to push them. They think you're going to try to be a salesperson. So as soon as they say, no, I'm not, and I say, okay, great. Here's my business card. If you know of anyone, send them my way. They're like, well, what are those other business cards? What do I have to do to get one of those? And when I explain it, they'll often say, well, I didn't mean I wouldn't try anything new. And the next thing you know, you've got a new preferred customer. So just recognize that what you have has value. If it's not right for someone, if they're telling you no in some way or another, try to work through that. And if you can't work through it, accept their no, because there are other people out there who definitely want what you've got. So those are some of my favorite techniques for dealing with no. I've also tried to address some of the objections that you shared on our page. I hope it's been helpful for you. The final thing I want to just remind you of is a lot of the objections you guys shared on our Daring Greatly page are things that if you just reach out to your upline and talk it through, they can also give you some good strategies for how to handle those. So thank you guys so much for being with me tonight. I cannot wait to see what we do in September. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of promotions in September and October, and I will be cheering for every single one of them. So thanks for joining us. Have a great night. Good night.